Metro 2033. The Kalash. Should you use it? This is probably one of the better weapons in the game. It definitely isn't as good as the Kalash 2012 or the VSV, but it does have really good base damage, and it can shoot MGR rounds. Its ammo is incredibly cheap to buy. I believe 10 MGR rounds gets you 30 dirty ammo rounds. It can one-shot headshot humanoids. This game doesn't really have ghouls like Exodus does, but it can one-shot headshot most humans. It does take 2 headshots against armored foes, but it's really not that hard to achieve. There are quite a few modded Kalashes laying around throughout the game. Some have scopes, some have lasers, some have like the night vision scope. This weapon overall is quite strong. It's not really bad at anything. It's definitely good against everything. If you want to kill beasts with it, you'll have to land a few headshots. Usually 2 to 4 headshots will kill most creatures, excluding demons. MGR rounds are incredibly strong and can one-shot most things in the game, excluding like heavier enemies. Overall, it's a really good weapon. It doesn't really have any downsides. It doesn't have the overheating issue of the Bastard, and it does have higher base damage, and it seems to be a little bit easier to handle. So I would say it's slightly better than the Bastard, which is already a decent weapon when used correctly. One thing to note about the Kalash is that it cannot accept a silencer in 2033. It can accept a silencer in Last Light and Exodus. This is a huge downside to this weapon, considering you just simply can't use it silenced. So unlike the Bastard, which can accept a silencer early game, this thing is going to just be used in open firefights and not really for stealth. And late game, like mid to late game, you can just switch to the VSV to use stealth, just because it has an inherent silencer and it has high base damage, so it's kind of like the silenced version of this weapon. You don't really need a silencer to use to be effective in combat in this game, to use guns. Generally speaking, as long as you use darkness and change positions after you shoot enemies, or if you peek corners correctly, you can get a bunch of headshots in a row, and as long as you don't overextend when peeking, you can usually dodge enemy fire quite easily. So you get the Kalash roughly 1/4 of the way into the game, and once you get it, you can either run that, or generally you can have a silenced Bastard by this point in the game pretty easily, or the T-Car or Helsing. You can get a Helsing in Dead City 1, so you can get a Helsing quite early on. Overall, I would say this is a strong weapon from the early to mid-game, but once you get the VSV, you shouldn't really run it unless you just like how it looks aesthetically, or maybe you have one you upgraded you don't want to get rid of. If you're playing on Ranger Hardcore mode, the 2-weapon limitation kind of forces you to upgrade weapons unless you're going for like a challenge playthrough or something like that. But aside from that, that's pretty much all there is to know about the Kalash. The upgrades for the weapon are generally just scopes. There's really not too much for it. It's just like different types of scopes, really. There's no like barrels or anything different like that in 2033. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Kalash. If you like this video and you like Metro content, definitely like this video and subscribe. And if you feel very adventurous, you can experiment with the notification bell. I do upload quite a lot in general, so it might be annoying to get notified so much. So it's up to you if you want to do that or not. But yeah, thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you in another video.